Greetings, everybody, and welcome once again to the Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Fredland. As the leader of a small business, you're easily consumed by the chaos of spinning too many plates. You need content that's curated specifically for you. You need connections with other small business owners to share insights and share perspectives. You need engagement from experts to give you practical steps to move forward. You need a community specifically designed with you in mind. This is who we are, and this is what we do. Welcome to the small business community. If you're not already part of the community, join us at smallbusiness.com. Check it out, and you can take us for a free test drive. Get the content, connections, and coaching that you need to move from chaos to confidence. All right, with that, let's get into today's discussion. Well, today we are joined by Sabrina Schottenhamel, and she's from Chicago, and she is an expert in the area of networking. So let's bring her in. Sabrina, first of all, thanks for jumping on here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and why you consider yourself an expert in networking.
Well, I've been a licensed massage therapist for 16 years, and I've had my own business. Next month will be 13 years that I'm in business, and for the longest time, it was just me. And then maybe about 4 years ago, some of my clients were encouraging me to hire some massage therapists to work under me. And, like most people, I didn't want to have people to manage, because I know when you have people that you bring on, sometimes that can cause headaches. So I put it off for the longest time, but then finally it just sort of fell into my lap, and it worked out, and I found a female massage therapist and a male massage therapist, and they've been working for me ever since. And thankfully, they are wonderful people that help me to grow my business and to continue working. Through this quarantine, though, we've just been back to business over the last few weeks. So we had to stop our massage business for a while. But the reason why I feel like I'm a pretty good expert in the networking arena is because the first few years I worked at a spa, and then once I quit the spa and went solely on my own to do my own business, I joined a networking group, and it was, it's kind of like a BNI group, but it was a smaller private group. So we worked on giving and receiving referrals, and the leader of the group always said, if you give out more, you receive back in double. And he used to say, I forget exactly what the saying was, if you give it out in loaves, no, you give it out in slices, you get it back in loaves. I think that was the saying that he used to reiterate. So I joined that group. So I built my business around referrals. And then, of course, the people that I had started my business with, they just kept referring me to their friends, their family, and it just kept expanding from there. And over the last few years, I joined some other speaker network groups to become a speaker, Toastmasters, engaging speakers, and that has helped build another part of my business, and that's why I'm doing a lot more speaking and interviews like this for podcasts. I do a lot of videos, but it's fun to get on and to network with people so that you can find out more about them, get to know them and their business. And then if it's not a fit for you and your business, then you can share them with other people. So, it's been really fun, especially during this quarantine time, to do a lot of Zoom videos and to network and say, oh, well, I know somebody that you would get along with great. Or, in your business, your line of business, you need to get to know this person because that person is a great resource for you. So it's just really fun to get to know people and to expand your business organically versus paying big dollars to go out and pay for the, the ads and the marketing. And yes, you need some of that, but it's just a lot easier to get to know people.
So what do you say to the small business owner, like yourself, like a lot of us who are, we're doing everything, we're doing the finances, we're doing the marketing, we're doing the payroll, we're doing the communications, we're doing everything. We're our own IT person, all of that stuff, and I hear you say things like, man, it's, it's good, it's fun, but a lot of folks are going, yeah, okay, that sounds great. And that sounds fun, but I'm just so busy with what I have going on. I don't really have time to go do that sort of thing. But what I hear you saying is there's a lot of value that comes from doing that. So talk a little bit about the value of that, even for somebody who's super crazy busy. Why should they prioritize this? Yes.
And for a while, when I was in this networking group, we met once a week for an hour. And I went pretty much every week, unless for some reason I had to take a client or whatever, or I was out of town. It's important to show up, whether it's in person or on video or sending a message, an email or whatever. It's important to show up so that people can remember who you are and what you do, so that when they're having a conversation with someone else and they say, oh, I'm looking for a massage therapist or a speaker of health and wellness, then they think of me. Or if I hear of someone say, I need, somebody for a holistic doctor or chiropractor or something, I know several people that I can refer to. So I'm not sure if I answered your question or if I just went off on a tangent on the small business, but why it's important to show up for this when you're really busy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like okay, if you're in the group, it's important to be consistent, to show up. I mean, all the reasons that you said, but I think there's a whole group of us out there that are saying, I can't, an hour a week. Plus, I know that they're going to want us to show up there a little bit early to do networking, and they're going to want us to stay after do networking, and they might ask us to now recruit other people into the group, and now they're going to want people to come become leaders and be a welcoming committee, and it just feels like, okay, now this is going to become an hour and a half a week, maybe 2 hours a week, and is there really the value? Like, why should I prioritize this over everything else I have to do with the business? Maybe I even think it's important, maybe I'm not sure, but why would you tell me to say you should do this versus spending that time doing something else?
Yeah, actually, that's what got my business started, is what I said in the beginning. I quit the spa and I went on my own, and I joined this networking group immediately. And yes, you said, for our group, we just spent 1 hour together. Of course, you come a little bit earlier, you stay a little bit late, but it's so important to grow your business, especially in the beginning, where you're meeting a lot of different business owners that are in the same boat as you. They're looking for more business. They're looking to meet really good people. So it's very important that you build these relationships. You spend the time. If you don't have the 2 hours or the 1 hour a week to do that, then prioritize at least twice a month to do it. Because it's important that you are memorable. You have your brand. I have my shirt on. I have my banner behind me. You want to show up. It's important that you have your brand out there and that you get to know, like, and trust people so that they can remember you. So is that a little more helpful?
Yeah, it's good. I think there's just, there's always that resistance thing. And so I think I'm trying to get past the initial sort of, here's the standard answer is you need to do it, you need to grow your business. But what I'm trying to get at a little bit is what's really at stake. Like, if I'm a small business owner and I do this well, what should I expect? If I'm a small business owner and I don't do this at all, because what I'm trying to get to is, we've got these, our small business owners, they're the heroes of the story, right? They're the ones that we want to see win this thing because, if they win, the communities win, and, life is just better when small businesses succeed. And, what I'm trying to do is say, okay, from a networking perspective, why does that matter? Like, and what you're getting at is, I think it's sort of this long game, right? It's going to help you build your brand, be memorable. It might not result in an immediate transaction. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's
sometimes it does.
It's building your business, right? Building your brand.
Yeah.
So what happens if people don't do it well? Like, obviously, different industries have different elements. But if I'm a small business owner and I say, I don't need networking, what's that risk there? I
think that you're risking creating good relationships with other small business owners, and so you're losing out on the face-to-face connection with people, even if it is over Zoom. And eventually we will be back to face-to-face meetings. But I just think it's creating those long-lasting relationships. And like you said, even if it's not the dollars that are being exchanged immediately, it could take years. But for some people, it's just building those relationships to build your business, to get to know more people, and to share more small businesses, because you said it a few minutes ago. We need these small businesses to have the world go round, basically. Yeah.
So what do you say to people, and this is something that I fall into, that go to these meetings sometimes, they're like, is this worth it? Like, either it might feel really cliquey, like it's hard to get into. I might be more introverted, so I'm not going to be the one that's out there, hey, everybody, look at this. I'm trying to learn more from each other about the business side, but it feels like it's more just personal stuff. And I know that's part of building relationships, but I think there's a fair number of business owners who are like me that are going, is this worth it? And so I'm part of a membership group. I've switched a little bit. I went to another thing just last night where, it's all about entrepreneurs, but I was just like, I didn't sense any value here at all. And there's like 8 people, and maybe that's helpful, maybe it's not, but is that worth an hour and a half of my time? So I think there's a fair number of us that are sort of measuring it, going, is this worth it? Is this worth it? Is this fit my personality? Is this annoying to me because I don't want to have chit chat for 15 minutes? I just want to let's go. So what do you say to people like that maybe networking and sort of schmoozing, if you will, are not their natural bent in life?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say that I think you have to find a group that fits you and your personality.
Yeah, so I think we hit on something really important there. I did a TED Talk called "Getting the Right Peeps in Your Jeep," and I think that's part of this is finding those networking situations where they're actually people that you're going to connect with. And I think maybe a part of that is on the front end, asking yourself the questions: what kind of group do I even want? Because it is hard. Many of us are in small communities, and so we join a group. Like this just happened to me. I joined a group. I was part of the group for a year. Phenomenally great people, right? I love all of these people, but it just wasn't the right fit for what I'm trying to do with my business. Or I was giving out way more referrals than I was getting, and it's just like, this doesn't seem like the right fit. And now I'm in it for a year, and I've moved, and I think there could be animosity. I have no idea, but on the front end, if I'd done a little bit more soul searching or something to say, okay, what am I actually looking for? Then I could visit groups and really know what I'm looking for. But I think we don't really know sometimes what we're looking for, right?
No, you just have to go and get the feel for the people. And you were in this group for a year and you said you really liked the people, but they weren't really giving. You were giving more than they were giving. And so, yes, you do have to evaluate, every 6 months to a year and say, yes, I love these people, but they're not giving me, I'm not getting the value out of what I'm paying in and the money, the time. So yes, you have to reevaluate your networking and say, I need to find a new group.
Yeah, and that's what I do. But part of me thinks, but if this is a long game, is a year long enough? Should I have given it 2 years? Should I have given it 3 years? And so what's your perspective on that? I know it takes a long time to build relationships. And I know my personality is, I love people. I love hanging out with people, but I tend to be more transactional. Like if there's not value, let's move on. And that might not be the right approach. But, I wonder, for people that are sort of struggling, like how long do you give it, in general before you start saying, I really need to get more value out of this, or quote unquote value out of this?
Well, the networking group that I first talked about, I was a part of that. Let's see, it's 13 years I'm in business. It was probably 10 or 11 years that I was actually a part of that group. And the first few years, there was some, because of I do massage, so people would have me come to their office and do chair massage, or for Mother's Day or Father's Day, people would buy gift certificates. So yes, I had some steady business in the beginning, but the growth came in the 4, 5, 6 year mark. And then, 9, 10, it started to level out. Yeah, I think that you should give it time, at least 3 to 4 years, because I think consistency and building those relationships and really driving it home that, this is what I do. And, I give you business, you give me business. I think the connection there has to be a lasting relationship. And so, yes, sometimes you give it a year and you're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it. And that's okay. But the longer that you stick with something, especially if you are seeing some kind of value in it, even just the relationships, I think that you should stick with it several years, consistency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference between, we talk sort of in general terms about networking, but there's networking groups that call themselves that. There's referral groups that call themselves that. There's sort of these, I guess, learning groups. They're networking, but, kind of Toastmasters is maybe part of that, where the focus is on learning a particular skill. So as people are saying, all right, I haven't really done a good job of quote unquote networking, I want to maybe start looking into these things, but now what's the difference between networking and referrals and skill-based groups, or what should, how do I delineate between those so I know which type of group to look for?
Yes. Well, it depends on really your personality too, because like that first networking group, we had points, a point system. If we gave referrals within the group, you got a certain amount of points. If you gave it without or outside of the group, you got an extra point. So you have to sort of feel like, do I want that pressure per se of having to give a certain amount of referrals per quarter, per month, or whatever it might be? Or do you want to just create relationships and get to know people in small businesses? Say Toastmasters, I joined Toastmasters to gain my confidence and my communication and speaking skills. But yes, I have received business out of it, mostly massage business, but I have received a few speaking engagements. Now, I'm also a part of a professional speaking group called Engaging Speakers, where we speak our way to more business. So that is more of, we do some networking, but we also do lots of learning. We bring in other speakers that give us knowledge, and we also have trainings within those other meetings that throughout the month, we have training. So there's no referrals required, but I've built a lot of quality relationships through that group. So it really just depends on your, like, if you do feel pressure to make money, then maybe you should join a group where you're giving and receiving referrals, because then you're forced to give and receive. But if you're just wanting to build relationships and, make some dollars here and there, I would recommend, checking out other groups that don't have that, strict rule of giving and receiving a certain number of referrals.
Yeah, and it sounds like it comes down to this whole thing that I'm always pushing people, push past the I should do this and really figure out your why. I think,
Yes.
So many small business owners are saying, I should do more marketing. I should be in networking groups. I should do this. And, you start asking them, well, why do you think you should do that? And they really don't know. They maybe should do that. Like, you should do networking, but you need to figure out why for you particularly you should do networking. And that's kind of your point I think you're making, is once you understand the why, okay, I really want more leads. Okay, that's very different than I really want to build relationships inside of the community that I'm operating in, or I just want friendships, or
Right.
whatever, or I want to contribute expertise, or I want to
Uh-huh.
learn a specific skill. Like, you really need to figure out what is your why there, and then you can
Mhm.
find the groups accordingly. Is that what I'm
Yes.
hearing?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, you need
So
to
how do
know
you?
why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think we don't, right? I don't think a lot of us ask that second question. We just think, oh, I should. Okay, Sabrina said I should do networking. Okay, I'm going to go join a group. Well,
Yeah.
you may end up being incredibly inefficient, or you might get frustrated in that if you
Mhm.
don't really know why you're doing that. So I think we're just trying
Right.
to introduce people to some of the whys of why they would do that. So what makes somebody a successful networker? People that do this thing right. What are they
Mhm.
doing? What do they have in common?
If you're doing it right, you're showing up consistently, you're building your brand, and you're making those relationships. Really, I think it's just very basic, like,
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I
yeah.
think social media is such a great example of this.
Hmm.
You just you put a post out on LinkedIn, or you put a post out on Facebook, say, "Hey, I'm awesome, buy me." Nobody's, nobody except for your mom is going to buy anything of yours,
Right.
because there is no relationship. And I think that is the same sort of thing that happens in networking. Is for those of us who are relationally challenged a little bit, we need to sort of get over that hurdle, because people want, that's how you build trust. That's how you build
Mhm.
reputation, brand, all of those things, so that when it comes time to buy, it's already there. So networking
Yes.
is sort of a long game. Some people like you, sound like you just thoroughly enjoy the process of networking.
Yeah.
Others, I think it's a little bit more of a challenge, but I think that's
True.
okay. There's parts of every business, whether it's bookkeeping. Some people think, man, that's kind of fun. Some people are like, that's a disaster.
Right.
That's part of owning a small business.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what would you say now? Okay, let's talk to like all of the small business owners. I know that there's so many diverse types of businesses out there, but in regards to networking, what should every small business be doing?
Well, I think the in-person or over Zoom networking, like we said before, is, find that group that really fits your personality, whether you have to give and receive referrals or you just want to create those relationships. So those in-person or over Zoom networking groups are really great, but you also need to build your social media presence, and I think get to know people on a really maybe not super personal level, but to when you create a post and someone engages with you, sometimes their mindset is like, oh, they're in business, I'm in business, I'm going to engage with them so that I can sell them my product. Or if you get a friend request or a connection request, sometimes you accept that friendship and then they send you an instant message or an automated message. It's like this big long message that just says, here, this is me, and here's a link to click, buy my stuff. Whereas my business coach says, that's like, hey, whoa, we just met and now you're asking me to get married?
Right.
No. Let's step back a few steps and say, like, okay, let's get to know each other, then let's start dating, and then we can move forward with our relationship. And it's the exact same thing for businesses. I don't want to just buy from you, Steve, because we don't exactly know each other yet. Yes, I went on your website and I looked at your your website and all your features, and I watched your TED Talk and I absolutely loved it because I love the peeps in the Jeep. But like, if you just put out a post and said, here, buy my stuff, I'm going to be like, no,
Yeah.
because I don't know who you are. So yes, I think that's really important to create, your foundation and step-by-step relationships.
I love that. Well, thanks for the kind words. Thanks for checking that out.
Sure.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
relaunching the website. I'm a little bit embarrassed by it now, but it's going to be out
Oh.
soon, a new one. But no, I think that's exactly right. And I think maybe you can talk on this a little bit. Is that we get it? We hear that sales is a numbers game. The
Yes.
more people that are in the funnel, the more people that you get to buy. And I think we get enamored with. I think the top end of the funnel, like how many followers we have, how many, engagements we have on social media and all of those things. And those maybe are good. And maybe it depends a little bit on what you're trying to do. But a lot of times those aren't quality things. Like you said, people are just kind of always putting out there, hey, you like me, I'll like you. Well, what is that accomplishing other than making us feel better? We get a little cookie because, I've got a new follower, and then it does feel good, but is that really going to result in the bottom line? If we're ultimately trying to make money for our business, the number of followers really doesn't matter if they don't translate into actual business. Whereas, networking, I think, it might not be the big numbers, but you have the potential to actually gain, much better leads, right? So it might not, you have 10,000 people that are all just liking your page, or you can have 15 people that are becoming your own like sales force. So that's what I'm hearing is part of the value of networking is those intimate relationships where you actually can build trust. Yes.
Yeah. Know, like, and trust someone in order to, that's what we're doing in business. We're getting to know someone, then we're, building that trust, and then we're eventually buying from them. And, like I said just a few minutes ago, if you were to pitch me without getting to know each other, I'm gonna put up my guard and be like, nope, let's step back a few minutes or few steps and say, okay, let me get to know you. How about you get to know me? And then we'll build that trust.
Yeah, I think one great exercise is if you can logically think about, would I buy from me based on what I know about me? If all I got was a brochure or something, handed to me by me, would I buy that? Versus what if I was in a group with me for 15 years or 2 years or 6 months? How much does that increase the chances that I would buy from me? And I think, it's hard for us to see that logically. We just think, well, I'm awesome. People should know I'm awesome. I just told them I'm awesome, but they don't. There's a lot of awesome people running around that we're not buying from.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's kind of like, when you do direct mail or when you're posting on social media or getting to know someone, they say it's about 7 times that you have to, touch them or put that post out there or your brand or whatever before people think about buying from you.
Yeah, so that's right.
It's a lot of being consistent it would be very expensive to do a mailing every week for 7 weeks. Right.
Yeah. Yes. And how many of those just get thrown in the garbage? So there's incredible value in networking. It sounds like, especially if you're in any sort of business where trust is required, a massage therapist for you, a business coach for me, if you're designing somebody's house, if you're roofing their house, all of these things are things that really require some level of trust. And so networking is incredibly helpful and powerful in those things, and we shouldn't underestimate it. So, so getting into networking is valuable for us, but if we want to be a really successful networker, we also have to give. So maybe kind of the last main point for this conversation is, how do we be, the sort of networker that people are saying, oh, I'm so glad they're in the group, because that's going to build trust too, right? So what can I do to have people say, man, he or she is adding a ton of value. I actually want to drive business to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think showing up as a leader and being confident in your own skin and with your product or service and helping others, especially if they are new to the group or if they're a guest, making them feel welcome and introducing them to the rest of the people. I think if you can, basically show up as a leader and teach people, make them feel welcome, and just bring them into your circle so that you can expand that circle, and then they can expand their circle, and it just kind of goes from there. It's like the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think about how good it feels when somebody gives me a referral. Like, wow, this is fantastic, whether it turns out or not. And so if you have the opportunity to do that for other people, obviously you're going to be planting those seeds of goodwill everywhere you go. And I think those will come back in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
All right, so let's wrap up here. But like any final words or things that you're hoping to talk about that we didn't get to? Anything else that you want to share with our community?
I want people to know that you need to create a relationship in order for someone to buy from you. And, if you're just making connections on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever your social media site or in-person networking, don't just say, here's my card, buy from me. Let's get to know each other. Let's step back and shake hands or, have coffee together or a virtual meeting if you're not able to get together. I think it's just really important to take the time, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes, just to get to know that person and their business, because then, we're creating more relationships. We are trusting people, and then we can refer those people out, or they can give us referrals, and then we can make other connections, other really great connections. And that's the fun part, is when I meet someone over a networking event or something, and they introduce themselves, I'm like, oh, I think they would be a great person to get to know this person. And so I will ask that person, or I'll ask both people separately, hey, would you want to meet this person? And then I will make the connection via text or messenger or something like that. And then I say, okay, here you go, take it away. So I introduce each other to themselves, and then they can take it from there. Making those relationships, even if it doesn't turn out to be business, maybe you just made a new friend, and that's great. So relationships are key.
Yeah, I love that. I think, kind of what you're saying there is it sort of becomes this mindset. Referral becomes a mindset of you start to automatically think, oh, I should connect those two people. Whereas if you're not involved in networking, that might not, it's all about me. It's all about who can help me. Right. And as you start doing that, then other people start doing that for you as well. And I think that's huge. And I know we were going to close off, but one thing you mentioned sort of triggered something in me. And I want to get your thought on this as well. It's sort of a paradigm shift. Like I was using LinkedIn as sort of a way of, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's some of my products, that sort of thing. And, I'd get some profile views. I get some connections. And then, I don't know, like a month or so ago, I started, trying to just put content out in terms of helping others, responding to other people's posts. So not so much saying, hey, look at me. It's going to other people's posts, using the hashtags and saying, oh man, I like this idea. Here's another way you can think about this. Here's another resource. It's not even mine. Just sort of, helping other people that way. And all of a sudden my profile views, the engagement, everything went way up. And I think the same thing happens with networking too, is if we go in with a perspective of, I'm just going to talk about myself, it's all about me, versus going in with the perspective of, I'm going to try to add value to other people's stuff. I think what happens when we do the latter, we actually see our own results increase much more than if we just went in with a me first mentality. Is that accurate, or do you see that in the networking world?
That's so true. Yes, you have to add value to someone and ask them questions, I think, and find out, what are you looking for? What are your pain points? What do you struggle with? Okay, well, if I can't help you, then, here's where that connection comes in. I know someone that can. You refer out, or you give them the resources for that. So yes, giving value is huge, and of course, telling stories about your relationships or your clients, that makes it hits home. It validates the fact that you're a good person, a good business owner, and you give a good value or service.
Yeah, and it's a paradigm shift, because we think, okay, if I'm just going around and I'm just giving value to people, giving it away for free, like here's content or here's insight and wisdom, I'm giving that away for free. That's really stupid, right? But I think it's a sales strategy. Maybe you are being generous, but it's also a sales strategy. Like people will respond to that. Think about it. If somebody just came up to you and said, hey, Sabrina, we don't know each other really, but here's a great resource for you that I found about massage therapy. You'd be like, wow, who is this guy? This is fantastic. Yeah. And so I think that's part of, right. And that's part of the networking thing. It's a sales strategy. So I don't think we have to look at it just as sort of this soft, gushy relationship stuff. I think if you think of it as a sales strategy, I think you start seeing the power in the networking.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Well, good stuff. So, okay, Sabrina, so how can people get in touch with you if they want to follow you on social media or find out more about your business, or if they have any questions and, more questions about networking than we covered today? What's the best way to connect with you?
Yes, I'm on Facebook. I have a personal page. I also have business pages, but I don't post so much in the business pages. So my personal page on Facebook is under Sabrina Schottenhamel. And then I have a private group because I speak on simple self-care, and that's called Break Time. So I can share that link with you, Steve. Yeah. And then I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel. I do have a website. It's SabrinaSchottenhamel.com. And I would love to get to know and connect with more people and give value. Really, that's what I want to get to know people, get to like them, get to trust them, and then add value to their lives.
Love it. That's a pretty good mantra. Well, Sabrina, this has been awesome. Yeah, if you would send me those links, I will put those in the show notes then for everybody to make them available on that. Great. But seriously, thanks so much for your time calling in from Chicago, and good best wishes with the networking and the business and all of that stuff.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Well, as we wrap up this episode, it would be extremely helpful if you would rate, review, and subscribe to the Small Business Podcast. Also, a quick reminder to check out the SSB community at smallbusiness.com if you aren't already a member. If you are a member, make sure that you are engaging in the forums, posting your questions, helping other members out with your insights. Consider jumping in a mastermind group or even getting private coaching. And if you're enjoying being part of the community, we would love to have you tell others. They can test drive the membership free for 7 days. There are also opportunities for you to promote your business on the website or through the podcast. Reach out to me if you want to chat about that option. If you want more information about who I am, about my background, what I've been involved with, please check out stevefredland.com. Otherwise, until next time, remember that your success is largely dependent upon surrounding yourself with the right people. So always make sure you have the right peeps in your Jeep. Have a great day.